to get to some news later, but we begin in Minnesota. J.J. McCarthy will be throwing to the most productive wide receiver through 4 seasons in NFL history. That's Justin Jefferson. He has the most receiving yards all time through this point in his career, despite playing fewer games than Michael Thomas and Randy Moss. Jefferson entering his final season of his rookie contract and is looking for a long-term deal. So let's get to that with Jeff Darlington. And we got to get to more on this wide receiver. Jeff, what is the latest on the contract extension talks between the Vikings and Jefferson?
Well, we actually have to get more to whatever's going on with Dan because that's just unbelievably repulsive. And but we can
figure out
we can try to move forward here. Repulsive might have been a tough word. I'm sorry. All right, Dan. Anyway, listen, let's talk Justin Jefferson and the contract situation currently facing the Vikings. They have made very clear all along that they want to make sure that Justin Jefferson goes nowhere. They're not entertaining any kind of trade talks. They have been very clear they're going to get this done. Now, we can keep in mind, of course, that we have seen 2 other wide receivers get monster deals in the last couple of weeks. Amon-Ra St. Brown setting a new market with becoming the highest paid wide receiver in the league. A mark, though, that will be shattered by Justin Jefferson whenever he gets this deal done. Again, the Vikings making it very clear that this is a priority, and they do anticipate it happening sometime this summer.
Yeah, Jeff, we're not done with the Vikings. We've got more to get to there. The first-round pick, J.J. McCarthy, recently talked about the idea of playing with Jefferson in Minnesota. Here's what he said.
Surreal, honestly. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, the big boys, Christian Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill. I just met him earlier. Garrett Bradbury, all great pieces. There's so many more that I could sit up here and just list all of them. But a lot of great pieces that make this organization what it is. And Justin is just a key part of that. And he already let me know I go by Jets, so we don't get any confusion there. Yeah, it'll be great to get that connection going with all the guys, and he's definitely a key piece to that.
I go by Jets. One of the things we wondered, Dan, is how could they do something with the quarterback position to make sure that Justin Jefferson knew who that was going to be and maybe help that process? Do you think it moves it along positively for Jefferson in getting that deal done?
It absolutely gives them a chance now. I mean, there was no shot that he was going to sign until he knew at least the name of the guy for the future. And now that it's J.J. McCarthy, it gives them the chance. The number is going to be absolutely outrageous. But if you're Minnesota, you were trying to get this done as quickly as possible. You also want to see how well this group or this duo looks on the field relatively quickly, because if there's that instant connection, I do think it helps you. Listen, Justin Jefferson was going to get paid a ton of money no matter what team was going to pay him. I think this now at least puts Minnesota at the top of the team that is likely to get that done.
Dio, that's the point, right? The urgency in which Justin wants to get this signed and how it plays out. You said the most important thing. We'll figure out the rapport and we'll figure out how well these guys work together and his confidence level in what he sees from J.J. McCarthy. Look, the elephant in the room is that this deal is about money, right? There's a number that Minnesota can probably put on the table, and irregardless of who the damn quarterback is, it's more than your eyes ever seen, and you're going to go ahead and sign the deal if it's all in your favor. But this definitely helps move that along. And if there was any hesitation or pause, Justin Jefferson now has another opportunity to evaluate where the Minnesota Vikings are and how they're going to move forward at the most important position.
What have you heard about the plan for McCarthy specifically in Minnesota, Jeff?
Well, I was really impressed just hearing from Kevin O'Connell immediately after JJ was drafted. And he came into the room and he started outlining and detailing this day-to-day plan that was going to start essentially immediately. Now, obviously, the NFLPA and the NFL have rules about how much time the coach and the player can spend together, but this is still a scenario where Kevin O'Connell, Josh McCown, the quarterback's coach, very clearly understand that they got a very solid prospect, but one that requires the utmost development if they're going to get him ready to be the week 1 starter, something that I know that they aspire to do.
Yeah, so one, Josh McCown coming immediately from Carolina, who started Bryce Young early last year. I wonder if that impacts the decision at all when it comes to his perspective of it. Now, wildly different situations, but it is worth knowing that, okay, if Sam Darnold has to be the guy in September, then maybe this isn't something that gets just thrusted upon J.J. McCarthy, although I think he's going to be capable of it too. And Mina touched on this a little bit during the draft week. It'll be really interesting to see how comfortable J.J. McCarthy gets to throwing to a covered person. You know, JJ in many ways was risk averse at Michigan. That was the identity of the football team. Don't give it away. Don't turn it over. Very rarely put the ball in harm's way. You'll never be high end. You'll never be really good or great in the NFL unless you are willing to put intelligently and in a calculated way the ball in harm's way, specifically when you're throwing to a guy in Justin Jefferson that seems to always come down with the football in those opportunity one-on-one type of moments.
Yeah, and if Hawk, who we have back now, if you're Justin Jefferson, you obviously want the ball, but I think there's such a comfort level there for a rookie quarterback in knowing you've got a target who can bail you out in a big way, right?
Absolutely. J.J. Jefferson is a part of the J.J. McCarthy development plan, as is this offense that is very much a run offense, but you pick your throws in the way that Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan run it, as well as J.J. Jefferson. You're not going to get the most out of McCarthy unless you have Justin on the outside. So to Dan's point, to Marcus's point, you need to sign J.J. probably quicker than you need to sign the quarterback J.J. because that price is only going up, and he doesn't care about what the other receivers have gotten. He is not compared to them. He's comparing himself to Bosa, the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. That's where Justin Jefferson sees himself.
I got a question for Dan, Boogie. D.O., J.J. walking into this situation, you highlighted during draft coverage how good of a situation it is for a top 10 quarterback to walk in. What needs to happen, confidence-wise, from Kevin O'Connell and this staff, with J.J. McCarthy from now leading up until they get out of training camp, for them to feel really good about putting a young player in this position? Obviously, we know Sam is there and Kirk being out of the building.
Yeah, fella, I think everything has to do with what happens pre-snap for him. You know, what happens with the personnels, because they use different personnels on a consistent basis. What happens with the formations, because in this offense, one formation can become 8 different formations off of one word. Hawk knows that. And then the motions and the shifts and the identifications. A lot of this offense post-snap is built to allow the quarterback to play fast and not overthink. But there's a lot of it pre-snap when it comes to the moving parts that are paramount for the play to actually get started. So I think the operation, can they operate at that? Because here's the thing, fella. A great play caller doesn't get to be a great play caller if they have to minimize all the cool stuff pre-snap that they can do with the personnel, the motions, the shifts to gain those advantages. So can he handle and execute all of that pre-snap? I think is the biggest hurdle.
Yeah, it is something, though, that he's done pretty well at times when it comes to the mentality. So it does make sense why they picked him. And it was historic. McCarthy is the first quarterback the Vikings drafted in the top 10 overall in team history. Kind of crazy to think about that.